Thank you, Dean Springer, for such a lovely introduction. My fellow Seminoles, I'm so grateful to be with you today. On April 17th, the FSU community endured what is, for me, unimaginable violence. I have no doubt that many of you are still reckoning with fear and loss, and I want you to know that I am genuinely sorry for your pain. In my humble opinion, it's a real testament to your strength that you are here today, choosing to embrace joy and hope. I feel very honored to be a part of your celebration and to bear witness to your courage and resilience. When Dean Springer invited me to speak today, I immediately accepted. I was touched by the invitation, flattered to be invited back to my alma mater, and frankly, I don't get to wear silly hats nearly as often as I would like. However, I confess it wasn't long after I accepted Dean Springer's invitation that I started to wonder what I had gotten myself into. First, I'm neither a gifted nor a particularly enthusiastic public speaker. I don't like microphones, and they don't like me much either. Second, and perhaps more importantly, I wasn't at all convinced that I was up to the assignment, which was presumably to offer inspirational words of wisdom to a room full of wonderfully diverse, interesting, talented individuals about to embark on careers in service of our society's most vulnerable individuals and communities. So I did what any thoughtful academic would likely do. I put on my scholarly hat, metaphorically speaking, although in retrospect, perhaps I missed a silly hat opportunity. I put on my scholarly hat and I did some research, and I went straight to the most rigorous peer-reviewed sources. I Googled inspirational graduate speeches on YouTube. Friends, I can't tell you that I conducted an exhaustive literature search, but I did go way down the YouTube rabbit hole. I listened to the very Goodwill Hunting Matt Damon challenge graduates to solve big problems like economic inequality and institutional racism. I listened to the incomparable Michelle Obama encourage graduates to embrace diversity, to be hopeful, to be empowered, while her husband, Barack, emphasized perseverance and civic engagement. Our most beloved castaway, Tom Hanks, talked about the importance of truth and decency and standing up for what is right in times of misinformation and apathy. The brilliant storyteller Toni Morrison told graduates to act with moral clarity and make the world a better place. And comedian Jim Carrey wisely urged graduates to choose love over fear when faced with unexpected opportunities or difficult decisions. After concluding my very scholarly literature review, I most certainly felt inspired. I was moved by themes of hope and resilience and the speaker's call to action to use our talents to make a difference in the world. But I still didn't feel up to my assignment. I felt very uncertain. Uncertain of Dean Springer's decision-making skills, uncertain of my mental state when I responded to his email, and most uncertain of any wisdom or advice I might presume to offer while speaking into a microphone. And then it occurred to me that the most important thing I might share with you is uncertainty. Now, I see some of you graduates scratching your heads. Uncertainty? On the day I'm being awarded my degree? Lady, I am darn certain I know things. And you, my fellow parents, you're thinking uncertainty? After all the years I've been writing checks to this university, my kid most certainly better be getting a job. Uncertainty? Seriously? Michelle Obama and Jim Carrey would not be impressed. But please bear with me. It's not every day that I get the chance to pass along the most important advice I received as a student to an auditorium full of people wearing silly hats. Graduates, I have no doubt that you certainly know things. You've absorbed everything you can from your esteemed professors about social work theory and practice models. You undoubtedly know a great deal about community resources and even the proper way to conduct a scholarly literature review. But I suspect you will, if you haven't already, feel some uncertainty in your social work practice. I suspect you may feel uncertainty when you are faced with making a recommendation about the termination of your client's parental rights. You may feel uncertainty when someone discloses their desire to end their life or their anger with treatment they are mandated to receive. You may feel uncertain when facilitating a staff meeting in which conflict arises between your colleagues, or when you suspect someone under your supervision is experiencing compassion fatigue or burnout. When I was an MSW student heading to my first internship with so-called at-risk youth in a middle school early intervention program, I remember sharing my overwhelming sense of uncertainty with my professor and mentor, Dr. Tomi Gamori. I fondly remember Dr. G normalizing my uncertainty and offering me guidance about how to utilize my most fundamental social work skills to ensure the middle schoolers felt heard and valued. I didn't need to anticipate every need or know at the outset how to solve every problem that I encountered. Instead, I could be authentic, listen carefully, ask questions, and show respect for my clients' experiences, opinions, and preferences. This seemingly simple guidance turned out to be the most profound and lasting advice I've ever received about managing uncertainty, and it has served me well in my professional and personal lives, irrespective of the silly or serious hat that I've been wearing. Over the years, I've come to regard uncertainty as a strength. While it can be, and often is, uncomfortable, accepting and even leaning into uncertainty allows us to remain curious and open to new ideas and experiences, to embrace mistakes and keep learning, and to practice humility and empathy in our interactions with others. Of course, uncertainty should not be confused with incompetence. We have an ethical obligation to the individuals and communities we serve to learn as much as we can and to practice and seek feedback to refine our skills. However, acknowledging that we are not and cannot be certain helps mitigate the potential for us to cause undue distress or abuse our power and privilege. History has taught us repeatedly that it is the people who are the most certain they know exactly how to label and treat their clients' so-called dysfunction, certain their clients lack insight or competence, certain they know what books children should read, certain they know how someone should pray or love. The people who are the most certain are the ones who do the most harm. When you experience uncertainty as a social worker, I hope you will remember the wisdom of my dear professor. Use your most fundamental skills to ensure people feel heard and valued. You don't need to, and perhaps you should not try, to anticipate every need or know at the outset how to solve every problem you encounter. Be authentic. Listen carefully. Ask questions. Show respect for your client's experiences, opinions, and preferences. Graduates, in the words of the legendary tennis player and civil rights activist Arthur Ashe, start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. Congratulations.